Namaste Jain. Welcome to MMK The Eagle View. Yesterday and the last past video, which was actually narrated by Mahesh Aditya, is one of an international relations expert, guy who knows 6 languages, especially who knows the geopolitics of Russia and Europe, especially has put in a lot of efforts to give you that quality content. A lot of time, effort and research have gone into it. Please do support him. The number of views we get for his video versus the effort and the quality of the content is disproportionate. So kindly help him to reach out large masses. So please do support his video. Today we are going to see a very important update on India's strategic prowess in the Indian Ocean region. So we know the Chinese string of pearls theory, how they are trying to dominate Indian Ocean region, how they are coming close to Indian waters, especially like when they had a port leased to them, Hambantota, which is as of now a civilian commercial port, which eventually will may turn into a military port of military base of China, which is hardly few hundred nautical miles away from the Indian shores. So we have been seeing them getting involved in Maldives. The current Maldivian president is totally pro-China. He has taken a lot of anti-India stance. So we have seen similar moves in Nepal, change in Nepalese regime. Nepalese then Prime Minister Oli, who turned against India, and we had clashes in the border between Bihar and Nepal. We have seen such an intervention in Bhutan. We have seen such an intervention in Bangladesh as well. So we clearly see our adversary coming close to us, trying to pressurize us and doing tactical moves as per the long-term strategy of China, which is string of pearls. So the recent conflict between India and Maldives. So as Maldives has said that India has to withdraw all its troops, and the India Out campaign was successfully done used as a political tool by Mohammad Bazoum, the current president. Eventually they faced the brunt. The country is in the process of getting bankrupt. They have approached IMF for a loan, for a bailout, but nevertheless this particular move of China, which plays an indirect role in influencing the Maldivian government, has seen a kind of rebuttal or a counteraction by India, which is not at a tactical level. This time it is going to be this time it is at a strategic level. So let's see what is it exactly. So if you see this map, you can see a mini island, a very small island in the southernmost tip of the Lakshadweep, which is called Minicoy. And close to Minicoy is the already existing one airbase, which is at Agatti. So these two islands are going to see a massive infrastructure push. So which means India is going to come out with massive military infrastructure. It's going to become a military base very soon. And if you similarly, if you closely observe, the distance between the Minicoy Island and Maldives is less than 250 kilometers. So the ninth channel, the movement of goods from Middle East to Southeast Asian countries exactly falls through this particular location between Minicoy Island and the Maldives. So this is where we are going to have a military base. Similarly, you look at the eastern side of our ocean, where we have the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. We already have an integrated tri-command services there. Army, Navy and Air Force closely operate at this particular place. Here, if you see, there is an island called Campbell Bay, which is at the Greater Nicobar southernmost tip. So this forms a close boundary with the northernmost tip of Indonesia, where falls the Sunda Straits. And if you zoom in again, where you can see the Lombok Strait of Indonesia, this becomes the pathway or a very important pathway as far as the 10th channel of communication is concerned. So why this 9-degree channel and 10-degree channel is so vital is where you can see here the flow of ships, the movement of goods from Asia, from Europe to Asia via Suez Canal, passes through the Gulf of Oman, crosses Djibouti, comes into the Arabian Sea and follows a 9-channel route, passes through strait between the Minicoy Island and Maldives, and subsequently it bypasses Sri Lanka, or sometimes it goes to Colombo for transshipment, and then eventually it gets into Southeast Asia via Andaman and Nicobar, through this narrow straits of Sunda, Lombok, and eventually the Malacca Straits, finally where the ships enter the South China Sea. So what does this signifies? This signifies this is a very, very important trade route as far as the Middle East and Southeast Asia is concerned, and it accounts for 65% of the trade which flows between the Middle East, Europe and China. So the Middle East countries send a lot of gas and oil towards China and Southeast Asian nations, vis-a-vis Southeast nations, and China sends everything else into the Middle East and to Europe because they are the biggest market. They almost import every possible thing which they consume in the Middle East, and sizable amount of produce and electronics and goods, white goods, go to Europe as well. So this is a very, very sensitive and important trade route as far as both sides of the world are concerned. And in reference to this, what India is doing right now is it is militarizing this particular zone. At Minicoy, there is a military base which is going to be established. There is a new airstrip which is going to come. It will be capable of handling fighter jets takeoff and landing, and also bigger transport aircrafts like Hercules. Secondly, it is also going to get a massive naval air base. The new Indian naval ship INS Jatayu is going to be established here. And the existing airstrip in Agati is going to be expanded, and it is going to get upgraded. So this two significant move, which requires close to 20,000 crore of investment, is being finalized now. And the way it is happening, the inauguration is happening, here is a clear message to China and India's adversaries, because here it's a clear power projection. Let's see how this the inauguration is going to happen. We know we have two flagship air carriers, which is INS Vikrant and INS Vikramaditya, totally indigenous and iconic Indian-made strategic asset that forms two battle groups. So these two aircraft carriers, along with 15 other warships, which involves destroyers, frigates, corvettes. So this is going to start from Goa. It is going to go all the way to Carver, which is the largest naval base in Asia. From Carver, it is going to sail to Minicoy, and from Minicoy, it is going to culminate its voyage at Kochi Naval Sea Base. So here, there are two important things. Firstly, the Defence Minister himself, Shri Rajnath Singh ji, is going to travel in this. He is going to lay the foundation stone for all the two military projects we spoke about. Along with him, there is going to be a commanders conference, a naval top commanders conference, which is going to happen on board. So two unique things. One, the defense minister himself going with 15 warships. Can you imagine the size of force which they are trying to project here? We are trying to project here. Secondly, the on-board commanders conference, first of its kind. It is going to be on board on INS Vikrant and INS Vikramaditya. So this is clear power projection which India is trying to do. The defense minister would have chosen to keep this entire episode as a low-key affair. He may fly down in an Air Force plane, do the inauguration, post couple of photographs, do a customary press release. No, that's not the case. Here we are clearly projecting our power. Now we have seen the importance of the location, why it is so important. It falls under the 9th channel. And we have also seen what kind of investments India is doing in both the sites, in Lakshadweep and in Nicobar Islands. And we also seen the importance of this particular thing and the power projection which India is doing now. Now comes the question, why? First of all, you have a naval asset, you have a very trained, proven asset. Navy is a strategic asset. Unlike the other two forces, which primarily acts as a defense force and with offensive capabilities, Navy per se is a very strategic force, it's a very strategic asset. So if you see China until 2010, they were projecting PLA, the Liberation Army, as a major asset to the world. They were doing a lot of exercises, war gaming, sizable amount of war gaming exercises, and sizable amount of investments have gone into their army. But the last 13 years or so, they clearly project their military power in terms of the number of ships they have, the technologies they use, shipbuilding. China officially is the largest navy in the world with 450 plus ships with them. Nevertheless, they are trying to project their naval power, because naval power shows your ambition to the world. So here clearly it's a power projection. We are projecting that we are the single net security provider as far as the Indian Ocean is concerned, and we are clearly establishing the fact, or trying to establish the fact, that we are the boss in the Indian Ocean region. Second, we look at the maritime security. Last year and 2022 and 23, two incidents happened. One, the blockage of Suez Canal by a large ship called Evergreen. It was closed down to I think 12 or 13 days or so. So this led into increase by freight up to almost 70-80% in certain routes. Lot of ship got blocked, delay in shipment, supply chain disruptions, ocean marine insurance costs going up, and lot of losses to various companies which was passing through their consignments through Suez Canal. It was like the world was actually showing that, and crude oil prices shot up, and it literally shook every country's economy. Similarly, in 2023, the late 2023 and early 2024, we saw the Houthis attacking merchant ships which was passing through Red Sea. There was almost 25 incidences where a couple of incidences, Indian Navy, Indian Marine Commandos, Marcos went in, they did a lot of rescue, they escorted the ships back. This, I'll keep it India specific. 30,000 crore of Indian exports got stalled, either it got delayed or postponed. There was increase in logistics cost because the ships has to pass through Africa, southern part of Africa, and move to Europe. So there was increase in insurance cost, and there was lack of availability of ships. So the shipments got delayed, the logistics cost got increased, the insurance cost also went up, and there were a lot of chaos and confusions on this few calibrated attacks on merchant ships in the Red Sea. This is the criticality of providing the marine security, especially when this 9 channel and 10 channel is concerned. Tomorrow, if some of a militant organization or a state sponsored organization does the same thing in the Indian Ocean region, so who will have to respond? American Navy along with its allies are already committed. They have huge amount of tasks in the Mediterranean Sea and in the Red Sea. And China doesn't venture out. Chinese naval prowess still is restricted with the South China Sea. They are a very shallow water area where they're trying to project those videos, propaganda videos. We can find it all over the internet. But eventually somebody has to provide security to this, because it's not only going to affect India, because it's a bullwhip effect. Any freight disturbances, container cost going up or a shipment cost going up in one particular lane will eventually affect all other shipping lanes. So here it is critical for us to protect this route. So having a naval base in Minicoy Island and having a naval base in Campbell Bay in Nicobar serves this purpose. That's why we can now assure 100% free and fair trade in the Indo-Pacific region without any of this potential disturbances or threat from terrorists or a state-sponsored organization. Third, it clearly sends a message to Maldives and Sri Lanka. Maldives and Sri Lanka, though they are very small nation, but they are strategically present, located, which gives them the advantage of negotiating with bigger powers like US, Japan, India, and China. So, but sheerly because of your geographical advantage, it is unfair, or we are trying to pass on the message. We have our own alternatives, we have our own islands. So we can still continue to protect our area, we can still continue to dominate our area. But what you lose on the other side is India was always a first responder, be it tsunami, be it water crisis, be it regime change, be it political disturbances, anything and everything. India was also always a first responder. So if you are going to allow our enemy, China, to come close to you, and then you want to bargain with us, or you use it as a negotiation tool, then that is going to come with a cost, because we have alternate options to protect our territory. We do have alternate options to dominate in the Indian Ocean region. Fourth is obviously tourism. Currently, if you have to go to Lakshadweep, you have to travel to Kochi, take a permit. From there, Kochi, you have to take a flight to Agatti. These two airports will serve as a defense civilian airport, like the ones we have in Jodhpur, Pune and Goa, where a defense airport is used for civilian planes to land and take off. So similar arrangements will be done here. It will give a huge boost to as far as the tourism is concerned. Lastly, the commercial ships which pass through, when India becomes a net security provider, it has always demonstrated it, rather than being a theory. It was always demonstrated. So such naval prowess gives us advantage when you negotiate with any nation bilaterally, or on a forum like BRICS or Quad, or even internationally. So exactly what happens here is, if China sits with us on a negotiation table, say for example securing or we speak about what is happening in Galwan or Northeast. China changed the names of Arunachal Pradesh, shows them in their map. All this nitty-gritty is the salami sizing. Right now you have a tool that I can choke you if I want, and I can choose not to provide any security to your merchant ships. Imagine a ship carrying a very expensive iPhone consignment moves from China to Middle East, and then it gets hijacked by a pirate, or the pirate attacks the ship, and if Indian Navy doesn't respond, what is going to happen? China doesn't have a physical presence here. They come and go on and off, but you don't find Chinese warships in the Indian Ocean region yet. They are still restricted with South China Sea. Even if they have to have a very long line of communication, supply lines, which means they have to move the supply oil tankers, they have to do frequent port calls in the south with South Asian nations, they have to do port calls with Sri Lanka, Maldives. So it's not going to be that easy because they are 3,000 nautical miles away. So here it gives a very, very strategic advantage as far as when it comes to negotiation between nations. It also gives us a very strong negotiating power with the Middle East nations. It also gives us a good strong negotiating power with the Southeast Asian nations. So this gives a major leverage as far as the India's strategic interests are concerned, and the autonomy is also concerned. Now you can also look at the Andaman. We spoke about the 9-degree channel, the 10-degree channel, how critical it is. So we have now moved, we have a base which is very, very close to Sunda Strait and the Lombok Strait, and Indonesia is slowly becoming we are a deep strategic partner as far as India is concerned. We are supplying a lot of naval equipments. We are in the process of supplying BrahMos missile to them, and both countries converge in terms of culture, in terms of religion, in terms of friendship. Both countries have very, very strong equity as far as people to people relation is concerned. And we have a very common enemy called China. So this unites us. So it kind of extends our dominance all the way till Malacca Straits, and in the Sunda and Lombok Straits. And here we should also see another event which is going to happen in the coming month. Is in April, India is going to test a submarine launched cruise missile with a range of 500 kilometers in its eastern seas, which clearly tells now we have capability of launching a cruise missile by air with our latest 4th generation fighter jets like Rafale. We have the capability to launch it from a military base, from land. We can also we do have a mobile launcher that can be launched in an Indian Railway rail as well. So we have multiple options of landing, launching it from air and land. And we also have tested this capabilities as far as sea is concerned. So we have a couple of ships which can launch this cruise missile from the sea. But underwater submarine, launching capability is still tested. It was tested a year before. Now we are going to do one more field test once it is done. So it gives the capability of India to fire a 500 kilometer cruise missile from land, air, sea and underwater. So that gives a very strategic asset. Now here, what will be the potential targets for this missile? Obviously it is going to be a sea target, which is a ship or a destroyer or an enemy ship or an enemy aircraft carrier. It also can take on land target, which essentially means India is counterbalancing its naval imbalance between us and China and us and Pakistan, because China currently has provided a lot of naval hardware to Pakistan. The Pakistani Navy was outdated, which was very weak. Now he is being re-equipped or upgraded with the help of Chinese hardware. So India needs to counterbalance it. So all these three things put together, we are not shying away from projecting power. We are not going to react tactically anymore. Something happens in Galwan or Arunachal or the northern or northeastern borders, we can respond. We should have options to respond elsewhere, which is the Indian Ocean region. We should not be falling into the enemy's line or enemy's calling of reacting to them in Himalayas, which we finally have to do in 2020 when Galwan happened. Now we have much more options to contain, to hold China by its neck, to hold them, not to do any sort of adventure out in the borders in the northern and the northeastern region, because fighting them in the mountains, it's a very costly and a very tough affair. But taking them on in the Indian Ocean region is a fair play and a very key objective to it. So we have started projecting our naval power. We are not shying away. We have seen multiple instances where we projected our naval power. So this is a game changer. India has started thinking more strategically now. So these two major events are of lesser tactical importance, I would say, but more of strategical importance. Do like, share and subscribe this video. Do post your valuable comments in the comment box. Thank you all. Jai Hind.